The Jamie and Chris Don't Be an Idiot podcast. The Jamie and Chris Don't Be an Idiot podcast.
Hey Chris, how's it going? You know,
Good.
it's been a crazy night. This
Right.
is Saturday. And what's the date today? Today is the 28th of
28th,
February.
last day of February. And
Yeah.
so, I'm thinking it's possible that someone may be meeting 72 black-eyed virgins right now, maybe.
Yeah.
So, I
It
gotta
looks
tell-
like the Ayatollah Khamenei is maybe toast.
So, I have to say, did I ever tell you about these prediction markets like Kalshi and Poly Market?
Yeah, sure. The poly market
So-
that you've been playing around with.
Right. So, it looks like I'm making money today.
Oh,
Because I had a
you put a bet
prediction
on this?
on Ali Khamenei out as supreme leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that bet's going up today.
Yeah.
And actually, I just looked at it, and they're not allowing any.
I think it's funny that they say it's Ali Khamenei, but because
Mm-hmm.
it's the Ayatollah Khamenei.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But-
actually, Jerusalem Post. So I'm looking at Jerusalem Post right now. They're
Right.
reporting Israeli officials informed Khamenei assassinated, body said to be found in rubble, and they call it the body of Ali Khamenei.
Okay.
Khamenei or whatever.
Khomeini, yeah.
The Iran's supreme leader since 1989.
Yep.
Was reportedly found under rubble in Tehran.
Wow, that's
So how's that for a
that's
start the weekend?
pretty dramatic, you know. I'm not sure. Well, you guys probably don't know, but I actually used to live in Iran.
Right.
So a little bit of you know,
You're related to the Shah?
I was there when the Shah was there, actually. So
Well, you don't want to be there after he was gone.
no, right. Well, and you know, he fell a year or so after I bailed, or my family bailed, and we were there on a government contract. So you know, there's a lot of things, and I'm going to preface this, right? You know, because I don't lean any way on this. You know, frankly, the Iranian people are good people. I mean, they
It was more of a secular society.
It was.
Before the radicals took over.
It was. And, you know, it's funny because I go back to the Madeleine Albright, statement that she made years ago about, you know, that we kind of caused this. And in some ways we did, because we took it away from the elected leader, gave it back to the Shah, and now, you know, and then after the Tehran attack on the American embassy and the hostages that went back all the way back to Carter and then to
Right.
Ronald Reagan.
They were turned over the night before Reagan took office.
Yeah, right. You know, we were there. We weren't there for any of that. Thank God for that, because that got pretty heated. But
I had an Iranian hostage speak at a pro-American rally when I was in
really,
college.
that would have been interesting.
So, you know, one of our mutual friends and I ran this group called the 4th of July Club. And, and so we were having a pro-American rally. And he came. He was the youngest of the Iranian hostages. Still around today. I just heard him on News Nation or something recently.
Oh, really?
And so, but yeah, he gave a great speech. And there was some hippie leftist protesting him with some ragged flag, and he was like, "You guys need to go learn your history, go home, take a bath, and get a job."
This is the hostage.
The hostage guy is like, yeah, he was very
Well, you know,
pro-American.
and now we go into this whole, like, what we know is going to erupt this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know anti-war is going to erupt, anti-Trump,
Right.
anti-this.
'Cause
And
the
I have to
Democrats
tell
are
you,
always going to be anything anti-Trump,
right? And
which is
and
ridiculous.
here's my take, and whatever the hell it's worth, right? At this point, that governments suck. It's not the people of the nation; it's the governments that suck.
Right.
You know, because I can tell you, I've dealt with, you know, I have friends that are Iranian or Iranian. I'm going to say it the right way. You know, and they're good people. And the people, when I lived there, they were good people. And you know, and I've dealt with the Chinese, right? The Chinese government sucks. You know, but the Chinese people
a lot of good people.
are good people. You know.
And so, yeah, and so this is, I mean, almost like Venezuela. You know, you're hearing about these Iranians, like around America, who are just cheering because they're happy that these hopefully these bastards are gone.
Right.
Because they want freedom too. Everyone wants freedom.
Right.
But then you get these people.
They
who
have been
just
oppressed
abuse
for
power.
so long.
And
They
this-
have a switch. They flip off the entire world
Right.
on these people that makes them basically oblivious to really what reality is.
And we've been screwing around with them for so long. So
Yep.
I
Back
think
and forth,
I've been
back and
waiting
forth.
for this strike. You know, I swear it seems like it always happens overnight, Friday night to Saturday morning.
It does.
That these strikes
Isn't that the
always
same
happen,
thing
right?
that happened in Iraq too? It was like
Iraq.
Was it on a
and
Thursday?
last June.
Yeah.
June 2025. And then when we took out Maduro in Venezuela, that was Friday night into Saturday.
Yeah, that's when
morning.
they're out
So it's
partying
kind of the thing.
and
It's like I always thought, well, maybe it's on the Sabbath or whatever, but I don't know when the Muslim Sabbath is,
Well,
if it's on Saturdays or what.
you know, it's funny because this one happened during the day, and I have a take on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the take is what we were doing is on one hand we're talking to them, negotiating with them, you know, and they're thinking nothing's going on, right? Except for, you know, hey, we're in good negotiations, or what they said was good negotiation, or well, they were saying they were in negotiations and they were close to reaching a deal. I call bullshit.
Right.
I call bullshit.
Because they've been lying to us for years.
They have been playing this game. They have been kicking this can like a regular politician down the road. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to be good. We're going to be good. We're going to be good. And then they're screwing you in the back, right?
And I love how they've been like talking smack about to the United States and Israel over the last week too, because
Right.
you know, Israel spanked them recently, and then America spanked them again, and then they want to go talk crap. But you know, I've been hearing about this potential missile purchase that they've been wanting to do with China,
Right.
To buy these like supersonic missiles,
Right.
Which could turn into disaster.
Could reach
With
our shores.
Lots of dead people could result in this.
Right.
So I think that's where this was especially important. But you know, either way, this was obviously they recently killed 32,000 of their own people because they were
Right.
protesting. But they're starving.
This is
people, too.
not a good regime.
They are starving the people, and in the meantime, they're giving about $1 billion a year to Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis
Yeah.
and all kinds of other like anti-freedom forces out there,
Right.
especially anti-Jewish forces.
And they're behind a ton of this terrorism that's going on around the world.
Right.
You know, and don't kid yourself. And then we got Obama that's kicking money back to him. You know, good idea, because that's not going to be used
Right,
against us.
especially with that nuclear deal too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll trust you. You know.
Yeah, oh yeah,
It's
you
not
guys
gonna
are
be
good
weapon
guys.
grade, you
Because
know.
you've proven us so right in the past, right?
Exactly. But that's the same thing with Biden too. You know, it's like
Yeah.
so you know they made the Houthis, you know, may have gotten like about $300 million a year from Iran.
Yeah.
But when it was Trump won, he put the Houthis on a terrorist list, which restricted a lot of their activities and their funding.
Sure.
Biden comes into the office, and within 3 months of becoming president, he takes them off the terrorist list and gives them like $167 million, U.S. dollars. And what happens a few years later? They're throwing bombs at American ships.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, anyways, not to get distracted, I think it's a great day for the Iranian people. Both,
I think this-
saw Netanyahu and I saw
You know what?
Trump.
Here's
Yeah.
my take on this, right? I think Trump's throwing enough into the pie right now, and I think the Israelis are throwing enough in the pie, but the Iranian people need to stand up, and they need to stand up now.
And that's what both Netanyahu and Trump are saying.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
they're
we're
saying,
only going to do some of this lifting. You guys have to do this lifting
we
as
don't
well.
we don't want to run your country. They're saying we want to give you the ability to take over and build a new free society.
And a democratic society.
And the Shah's son, I just heard it like about an hour ago. They're still talking about the Shah's son. He may come in.
No,
The
no.
guy's been
No,
living,
this guy has not even run a lemonade stand. You know, why would you put him in charge
It's like a
of a
monarchy
country?
kind of
No,
mentality,
absolutely not. This
Yeah.
needs to be elected by the people for the
I
people.
mean, these people who have been giving their sweat, tears, and blood, you know, for freedom over there, these are the guys who need to be given control because they're the ones who have their hearts in it, right?
Sure. Absolutely. And we need to give the power to the people, and we got to just, at least we can direct them in the right direction, which I know our government has not been good at doing for
Decades.
many countries. But, hopefully, with the Iranians being held for 46 years or 47 years
Right.
in utter turmoil, hopefully they now can taste it.
Trump made a statement earlier today. He says, I want to, give you the power to run your country. Pick up the pieces, put it together, build a good country. But if you don't, and you go the wrong way, we'll see you again in a few years. He basically
Right.
said.
Right.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
And so, it'd be great to see what happens and
Yeah.
watch it shake out. So now one of the biggest fallouts here in America are obviously the Democrats, everyone except for John Fetterman, I think.
Yeah.
Are claiming, oh, this is so wrong and everything. I don't know how they can be against something like this, but they find a way.
They're Democrats.
And so, anyways, but
They're against anything anybody else is going to do.
and they've been talking about, war powers resolution or whatever to keep Trump in check, and that can be fine because constitutionally that's how we're set up. And I presume, you have to presume that, most of Congress will approve of all this stuff, at least enough to pass this stuff, because
Right.
anyone who goes against this is really, I heard a good commentator on the radio today, and he was saying, let's just not live for the next few days. Let's live for the next generation, because if we don't take care of this and make sure that these bad guys are gone, we're kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
Let's stop pussyfooting
This
around.
this could either be a big disaster in the long run, or it can be a way to free these people who are oppressed.
Right. And that China is worried about this because Iran's got a lot of oil.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
if
And they are getting a lot of oil from Iran at
and
this point.
if they stop being an ally of Iran, or if Iran stops being an ally of China, then, they participate in the free market. They can participate with everyone else in the free market, and that puts China in a bind because they don't have their buddies selling cheap oil to them.
Right.
They just
I
have
mean,
Russia.
they're just trying to get enough money to
Right.
run. But
'Cause
you would think
Venezuela's
in the
going
long
away.
run
Yeah.
this should work out. In all reality, it should benefit the Iranian people,
Right.
and and shame on China for really exploiting their weakness at this point.
Right.
But that's China, that's Russia.
And it's so funny. Did you hear about that story about the UN? The UN is always the laughing stock of the world because they recently put them, the Iranians, in charge of some committee on women's rights or something.
Oh,
It's what the hell are you thinking about? Right?
yeah,
It's
wonderful.
can you guys be
I'm
trusted
sure they're
with
going to be
anything?
perfect with that, right?
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, we hope that political, differences in America, I mean, there's certain people who just want to keep the country divided, obviously, and a country divided, obviously, they always say cannot stand, and it's almost like that's the way some people want
Right.
America to be. That's why our adversaries, that's why a lot of these radical protest groups are funded by people living in China. And but in the end, we have to come together as Americans, come together for freedom, and let's keep this momentum and give all of these Iranian people the power to take it over.
Yep. Godspeed. Hopefully, with everything going in a good direction, maybe no blood will be spilled. Well, limited blood will be spilled on the battlefield, and we can get these people back in a realm where they can be productive for themselves.
So it'd be interesting. So I think I've mentioned in the past that I have this free-to-air satellite system. It's kind of a techie, geeky thing. You set up this antenna with a motor, you calibrate everything, and then it hits different satellites up in the sky, and you get all this international TV.
Oh no, I didn't know you had that.
So it's cool. I spent about $500 on it, and one of the channels
You're such
I get,
a nerd.
I know, because I don't even really watch them much. It was just the sense of accomplishment. Of
That'd be
putting this thing
fun though to
together.
watch the news on.
So, yeah, and it is because you get some good Euro news, but there's also this Iranian station in English, which is the most laughable station on earth because it comes from the Iranian government, and it'd be something like And today a major storm started a fire over in this city, and it was the Zionist pigs who started it.
The Zionist pigs.
It's like the Middle Eastern version of MSNBC. So but I was watching about a week ago, and they couldn't get enough of like all the anti-Trump stuff that the Democrats do.
Uh-huh.
And so that's really when you see our like hardened enemy praising what the Democrats are doing, the way they behave, the way they push all these wild protests, anti-ICE and everything. They hate America, and they say our allies are the Democrats,
Right.
basically. And
Right.
it's like, keep up the good work.
Well, and you just look at his speech the other night, where basically he called the Democrats out. And I'm no Trump fan all the time. There's some things he's done great, and there's some things he's not done so great.
You can't hit 100%.
But, it's like, I have to say, and I try to be in the middle of all this, right? But from my experience here, and I'm going to say it, I think this is I hope this is a good thing.
Right?
I hope it's a good thing.
I don't think it'll be a destabilizing, temporarily destabilizing.
Right.
But I would have to think that with guidance, not control by America or Israel probably can't be a part of it just for historical purposes. But some of the other like friendly countries, reasonable countries, can help guide this country.
Well, and here's my apprehension on this whole thing, right? If it's not done right, and don't get me wrong, I don't think the Shah did it right. I absolutely 100% say the Shah did not do it right, because when I was over there, just the abuse of funds towards like the Shah and the Shah's family.
Lavish lifestyles.
Oh my God. I mean, and we went to his tent in the middle of like the desert.
That doesn't sound very lavish.
And this was not a tent. This was like, if you were to like a beautiful palace tent, and it was like they had these grand, eating tables
thick canvas and
it
stuff?
was, I don't know. I never touched the canvas, but I think it was insulated. It was air conditioned, and it was like this incredibly gorgeous tent with gold accents on the furniture, and it's like, this is not, and this is why I go back to
sounds like a Trump setup.
Yeah, right, it does. This is why I go back to do not give power to the Shah's son. Because he hasn't earned it. Like I said, he hasn't even run a lemonade stand. What does he know except for what he was kicked out of? And I think he was how old when he left? 7?
Yeah.
I think he was young. This guy doesn't, and I'm sure he stays up on the topics, and
he's probably led a cush life his whole life. He's never.
But nothing makes him qualified to run a country.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing makes him qualified. So you know what? Godspeed to our Iranian friends.
Let's see how it works out.
Yeah, and please comment. Let us know. But we're pulling for you.
Right.
Freedom to your country, freedom to the people. So
that's all I got.
Yeah, you know what? This is going to be a quick cast. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Listen to us on all the podcast networks. And thanks for watching Jamie and Chris Don't Be an Idiot.
Okay.